Hi, welcome to Khan Educare. The law of diminishing marginal utility. The law of diminishing marginal utility is an important concept to understand. It basically falls in the category of microeconomics. It is of equal and significant importance in our day-to-day decision. In this video, you will find the definition of the law of diminishing marginal utility, detailed explanation with the help of a schedule and diagram, assumptions we make in the law of diminishing marginal utility, and exceptions where the law of diminishing marginal utility does not apply. Eyes become tired of beautiful picture or scene, and ears are deadened by even the sweetest music. In a course of time, even a thirsty person will stop drinking after consuming a certain quantity of water. Do you know why? Because as consumer goes on consuming more units of a particular commodity, the additional utility that the consumer derives from the consumption of that commodity goes on diminishing, and finally he or she reaches saturation level. It means though human wants are unlimited, but any particular wants is satiable. Based on this satiable character of human wants, economists formulated the law of diminishing marginal utility. In German economist, Gossen was the first to explain this law. Therefore, this law is also known as Gossen's first law. Professor Alfred Marshall, the founder of neoclassical school, popularized it. The law of diminishing marginal utility is one of the important laws of utility analysis. It deals with the consumer behavior in an intensive manner. Now we move to know the meaning. Other thing remaining the same, when a person takes successive units of a commodity, the marginal utility diminishes constantly. The marginal utility of a commodity diminishes as the consumer gets larger quantities of it. Marginal utility is the change in the total utility resulting from one unit change in the consumption of a commodity per unit of time. Here we come to the example, that is a thirsty person consuming water of a certain quantity. After some point he will stop drinking of water. When he drinks first cup of water, he will get more satisfaction, and after that you will get more satisfaction, and after some level his utility by consuming more and more unit of water will diminish due to the satiable of particular commodity in particular period. According to Marshall, the additional benefits which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. According to this law, a consumer increases the consumption of any commodity, keeping constant consumption of all other commodities. The marginal utility of the variable commodity must eventually decline. In other words, consumer consumes more of any commodity, the total utility increases, but the increase in total utility is not proportionate to the increase in the units of consumption. Here we have some assumptions. Utility can be measured in cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to nth units. The units of consumption must be in standard units like a cup of coffee, a bottle of cool drink, an apple, etc. All the units of the commodity must be identical in all aspects like taste, quality, color, and size. Consumer must be rational. It means consumer should maximize utility. Consumer mental outlook should not change. He must behave rationally and maximize his utility. The price of commodity consumed and its substitute must remain constant. We already told about that. The other thing remaining the same. The units of a commodity should be used continuously. If there is any intervals between the consumption of two units, then the law will not operate. There will be no lapse of time. Commodity should be used continuously. Consumer should be an ordinary person. This law is not applicable to extraordinary person. The law of diminishing marginal utility can be explained with the help of an example. Let's take an example to explain the law of diminishing marginal utility. Suppose in the month of April, or you may take any month, but now we are taking the April because because it's too hot. A student comes home from the college and start drinking water to quench her thirst. First glass of water gives a lot of satisfaction. A first glass of water has a great utility for him, because when people feel thirsty, when they start drink first glass of water, obviously it will give lot of satisfaction. When he drinks second glass of water, the extent of his thirst would have reduced. That's why he will derive less utility from second glass of water. If he takes third, fourth, fifth and sixth glass of water continuously, he will get less utility from third, fourth to fifth and sixth. After some point he will get, or the marginal utility falls to negative. The following table shows the total utility, marginal utility that a person derives from drinking water. By the help of a schedule, we clearly understood the actual phenomena. When consumer consumes first glass of water, he will get 12 units of utility. When water consumed continuously, marginal utility falls to 4 units for the fourth glass of water and becomes 0 for the fifth glass of water. After he consumes sixth glass, he will get negative for the sixth glass of water. The marginal utility of the sixth glass of water becomes negative, -2. In this way, we can say the consumer consumes any particular commodity continuously, the marginal utility declines. Here we can see 12, 8, 6, 4 and it becomes 0 and reaches 0 and then becomes negative. Every consumer can feel this significant concept in day-to-day decisions. Now we move to understand the diagram by the help of a schedule. Here we draw the total utility curve, marginal utility curve, and here on the y-axis and on the x-axis we draw the utility and water. Here the total utility is the sum of utilities of all the units consumed. The total utility goes on increasing at a decreasing rate and after a stage begins to decline. You can see here clearly the total utility increasing at a decreasing rate. After the saturation point, total utility begins to decline. When the marginal utility declines and as long as it is greater than 0, the total utility increases. For the first fourth glass of water, the total utility increases from 12 units to 30 units. When the marginal utility becomes 0 at 0.5, total utility is constant to 0.30 units and reaches the maximum level. When the marginal utility becomes negative in the sixth glass, the total utility declines from 30 units to 28 units. I think you will understand the total utility, marginal utility by the help of the schedule and diagram. Now once again I want to explain the diagram as shown in this table, and in this diagram the quantity of water is measured on the y-axis and utility is measured on y-axis. TU refers to the total utility curve. This curve rises upwards from left to right in the beginning at an increasing rate and afterwards slopes downwards. Marginal utility is the curve which slopes downward from left to right and becomes negative. We will continue our video on the exceptions or limitations of law of diminishing marginal utility.